Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ambassador Kraft, welcome. Congratulations on this nomination. Thank you for your distinguished service to our nation, serving today as Ambassador to Canada. And I'm confident in this new post that you will do an exemplary job. And indeed, I have a word of encouragement in that it is interesting. The principal criticism, as manifested on this colorful chart that the committee has put up, the principal criticism, it seems, leveled against you is that you have traveled and worked too hard in your current post, which I find a not terribly persuasive criticism and pretty strong indication that the end result of this is going to be your confirmation. But let's dive into this criticism a little bit more, because I don't think it withstands even the barest of scrutiny. As I understand it, some of the travel represented up there on that chart included travel to Montreal. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And Montreal is in Canada?
Yes.
Other of the travel there included travel to Calgary. Is that correct?
Yes, it did.
And Calgary is in Canada?
Absolutely.
I am assuming, I don't know this, I'm assuming some of that included travel to Toronto. Is that right?
Yes.
So the last I checked, you were not the ambassador to Ottawa, you were the ambassador to Canada. Is that right?
The ambassador representing the United States in Canada.
Indeed. So the beginning argument that if you're traveling around the nation that you're appointed ambassador to, and if you are meeting with business leaders, government leaders, community leaders in those various towns, that's somehow a dereliction of duty. I would say you would be a poor ambassador indeed if you went to your office in Ottawa, locked the door, and stayed sitting in your office. That is indeed the exact opposite of what one wants an ambassador to do. As I understand it, a significant portion of that travel also includes travel to Washington, D.C., to participate in strategy and negotiations for the USMCA. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Is there any policy issue right now between the United States and Canada that is more pressing, that is more urgent, that is a higher priority than ensuring the strong and continued economic friendship, relationship, and trade between the United States and Canada?
There is no other issue. It's so important that the Prime Minister is coming in today to further discuss USMCA and how he can help implement and ratify USMCA through his Parliament at the same time through our Congress.
And I guess if you were not a very good ambassador, they might well have just left you in Ottawa. They might well have said, you know what, we're doing important stuff between the U.S. and Canada, but, you know, our ambassador's not up to snuff, so you just stay up there in the office and we'll do the meat of the negotiations. Of course, that's not what they did.
No, you know, I take this very serious. It's a 24/7 job. And every state in the U.S. relies upon our trade partnership with Canada. And if I needed to be in a state to speak to a governor or a legislator or a mayor, everyone's affected by this USMCA. And it was vitally important.
Well, and I will say you and I have known each other a long time. We are friends. I will say anyone that knows you knows that you are tenacious, you are hardworking, you do not know how to do a task halfway. That is simply not in you to do a task halfway, but rather, if given a task, you are going to dive in with both feet and with all the energy and passion you have. That is how you have done the job as ambassador to Canada, and I have every confidence that's how you will do the job as ambassador to the UN as well. Let's take a moment and talk about just how important the job of ambassador to Canada is. Canada is one of our most important global allies. They're a member of Five Eyes, which means they're one of our most important intelligence partners. U.S. defense arrangements with Canada are more extensive than any other country. We have more than 800 agreements on cooperation across national security. They're one of 9 countries that have participated in the U.S.-led F-35 program. And you have been the point person for the past year and a half for U.S. policy with Canada. Can you describe briefly how you approached that job and what you did to strengthen the friendship and relationship between the United States and Canada?
Thank you, Senator. As you well know, it's vitally important to have this relationship before you go into negotiating. And Ambassador McNaughton was extremely important in including this friendship and this initial respect, because if you don't have respect, then when you're sitting at the table and you disagree, then you won't come back and it will not be productive. You know, we had several issues as far as Five Eyes meetings, especially when it came to China and the use of 5G technology. I am continuing to stress Canada to pay their 2% for NATO, so maybe I can say that publicly one more time. And also just the fact that USMCA was so important to all of the Canadians. Everywhere I would go, whether it's Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Quebec, Prince Edward Island, they would ask me about NAFTA and USMCA. At the time it was NAFTA, and how important it was to them, to their families, to their economy, their community, that we, the United States and Canada, has a very healthy trade agreement. So I was available 24/7, as I will be, if confirmed, as the ambassador to the United Nations.
Thank you, Ambassador.